Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, I've got a quick question for you. Have you ever been cheated on? Or do you know someone who has? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to tell a story like this. Honestly, if you asked me just a few weeks ago, I would have told you I had the perfect relationship. My girlfriend and I had been together for almost 2 years, and I trusted her with everything. She was smart, funny, and had this way of looking at me that made me feel like I was the only man in the world who mattered. At least that's what I thought. We weren't the couple that fought all the time. We didn't scream at each other, we didn't play games. Or so I believed. I really thought we were solid. Sure, we had our ups and downs, but who doesn't? That night, though, was when everything changed. And it all started with something as simple as losing my phone. It was a regular evening. She had come over after work, and we had dinner together. I remember she was acting a little distracted, but I didn't push her about it. I just assumed she was tired. We curled up on the couch afterward, and she mentioned she wanted to take a shower. No alarms went off in my head. I gave her a quick kiss on the cheek, told her to take her time, and then I stretched out on the couch, scrolling through TV channels I wasn't really watching. For a few minutes, everything felt perfectly normal. The water running in the bathroom was background noise, and I just lay there, half dozing off. That's when I noticed I couldn't find my phone. Normally, I leave it on the coffee table or in my jeans pocket, but it was nowhere to be seen. I checked the couch cushions, the kitchen counter, even under the blanket I had tossed aside. Nothing. It was a small inconvenience, but you know how it is, you lose your phone and suddenly it feels urgent to find it. I walked over to the bathroom door and raised my voice over the sound of the shower. "Hey, babe, can I use your phone to call mine? I think I misplaced it." Her voice came back through the water. "Yeah, sure. It's on the counter, use it." I didn't hesitate. This was the kind of trust we had. I didn't think twice about grabbing her phone. I walked into the kitchen, and sure enough, it was right there. The familiar pink phone case, a little worn at the edges, the one she'd had for months. I picked it up, pressed the side button, and the screen lit up. I knew her passcode. She'd given it to me a long time ago when she asked me to queue up a playlist in the car while she was driving. That moment, to me, had been a sign of how open we were with each other. No secrets, no hiding. That thought would soon feel like a cruel joke. I punched in the numbers, and the lock screen disappeared. My only intention was to open the phone app, scroll down to my name, and call myself. But something caught my eye almost immediately. The list of recent contacts was longer than I expected. And not just longer, but filled with names I didn't recognize. Male names. 4, 5, maybe 6 of them. First, I brushed it off. She had plenty of guy friends, people from work, old classmates, gym buddies. It wasn't weird for her to talk to other men. I had never been the jealous type. I prided myself on not being controlling. But then I hovered over my own contact name, finger ready to press it, when it happened. A notification slid down from the top of the screen. At first, my brain didn't even register it. I stared at it blankly, waiting for my mind to catch up to what my eyes were seeing. It read, "Hi babe, wanna come over to my place? I was thinking of another date today." The sender's name? Someone I didn't know. Just a man's name, casually sitting in her contacts. My stomach dropped. The word babe burned into my head like acid. I froze, standing in the middle of my own kitchen with her phone in my hand. The sound of the shower was still going, almost mocking me, like some soundtrack playing over the moment my life started to unravel. First, I tried to explain it away. Maybe it was an old message. Maybe it was a misunderstanding, a joke, anything but what it looked like. But no matter how many excuses I tried to make in my head, the truth was staring me right in the face. My pulse started racing. My hands shook. Against every instinct screaming at me not to, I tapped the message thread. My heart sank deeper with every word I saw. What I found wasn't just one conversation. It wasn't just one guy. It was multiple, or maybe more, each with their own little thread of sweet words, inside jokes, "Can't wait to see you again," and late-night messages that made my stomach turn. And in that moment, standing in my own kitchen while the girl I thought I loved was in the shower just a few steps away, I realized the relationship I had been clinging to was nothing but a lie. I stood there, staring at the screen, unable to move. My body felt heavy, like the air itself had turned into concrete. My thumb hovered over the screen, and I scrolled further down through the messages. The more I read, the more I felt my chest tighten. The first guy, the one who had sent the "Hi babe, wanna come over?" text, clearly wasn't just some random friend. Their chat history was long. Weeks and weeks of messages. Some were flirty, playful, but others were downright intimate. Things she had said to him were things I thought she reserved only for me. "Last night was amazing. I can still feel you. I love how you make me laugh. You're different from the others." The others. That word hit me like a hammer. The others? How many others were there? I scrolled more, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Another guy. Different name. Same pattern. Messages about meeting up, inside jokes, her sending selfies she had never sent me. Selfies from my house, from our bed. My vision blurred as I kept reading. I don't know if it was anger, heartbreak, or disbelief. Probably all of them. I felt sick. I wanted to throw up right there on the kitchen floor. A third guy. Then a fourth. I counted at least 4, maybe more. Some messages were old, months back. Others were recent. One was from earlier that same week. "Can't wait to see you again, babe. Let's make it special this time." And her reply? "Of course, I miss you too. I'll figure out a time." My hands clenched the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, pounding like a war drum. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't some misunderstanding. She had been living a double life, maybe even a triple or quadruple one, right under my nose. I thought about all the nights she told me she was too tired to hang out. The times she said she was going to see her friends from work. The random errands she would run late at night. My brain started replaying every little red flag I had ignored, stitching them together into one horrifying truth. The girl I trusted most in the world was cheating on me with multiple people. I don't even remember how long I stood there scrolling. My whole body was shaking. My stomach was in knots, and my throat felt dry. The sound of the shower in the background was still going, like she was completely oblivious to the storm she had just unleashed. I wanted to confront her. Right there, right then. I wanted to throw open the bathroom door and scream at her, demand answers. But at the same time, I froze. Part of me didn't want her to know I had found out. Not yet. Part of me wanted to see just how deep the rabbit hole went. So I kept scrolling. More messages. More names. Some were short conversations, others long. It didn't matter. Every single one was a knife to the chest. What hurt the most wasn't even the words, it was the tone. The affection. The way she wrote to them. She called them babe. She sent heart emojis. She promised to make time. It wasn't casual. It wasn't meaningless. It was deliberate. And it was happening while she was with me. At one point, I found a message that almost made me drop the phone. It was to one of the guys. "Don't worry, he has no clue. I'm just with him until I figure things out. You're the one I really want. He has no clue." That was me. I was the clueless one. I felt my knees weaken. I had to grab the counter just to keep myself standing. My whole world had been flipped upside down in a matter of minutes, and the worst part was, I couldn't even process it. It was too much. I stared at her phone, at all the lies she had been weaving, and I realized something brutal. I had been living in a fantasy. The relationship I thought was real, the love I thought we had, it was nothing more than a cover for whatever she was doing behind my back. And the craziest part? She was right there, in the shower, humming to herself like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't destroying me piece by piece. I didn't know what to do. Should I put the phone back and pretend I hadn't seen anything? Should I confront her the second she stepped out of the bathroom? Should I wait, gather more evidence, figure out just how many guys there were? All I knew was that the clock was ticking. Any second now, she'd finish her shower, come out, and see me standing there. And I had to make a choice. I don't know how long I stood there frozen, but it felt like forever. My pulse was racing, my palms sweaty, and my mind was spinning out of control. Every second dragged by, and I knew I didn't have much time before she finished her shower. I placed her phone back on the counter, screen down, like it had burned me. My first instinct was to pretend nothing had happened, to act normal and figure out my next move later. But the anger inside me was boiling, threatening to spill over. I couldn't just unsee what I had seen. Then I heard it. The water stopped. My stomach dropped. A few moments later, the bathroom door creaked open, and she stepped out wrapped in a towel, her hair dripping wet, steam rolling out behind her. She looked at me with this casual little smile, like nothing in the world was wrong. "Hey," she said softly, "did you find your phone?" Her voice, so sweet, so casual, nearly broke me. I looked at her, and all I could see were the words from those messages, flashing in my mind like neon signs. "Babe, last night was amazing. He has no clue." I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay calm. Yeah, I found it." I lied. My phone was still missing, but the truth was I couldn't care less about it now. I just couldn't let her know I had already uncovered everything. Not yet. She walked past me, leaving a trail of damp air, and started rummaging through her overnight bag like it was just another normal night. I stood there, frozen, watching her every move. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure she could hear it. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she asked, raising an eyebrow playfully. I forced a small laugh. "Nothing, just thinking." "Thinking about what?" she pressed, her tone light but curious. "About us," I said quietly, and it wasn't a lie. I was thinking about us, just not in the way she imagined. She didn't seem to notice anything wrong. She just chuckled, brushed her hair back, and started talking about some random story from work. I barely heard a word of it. I was too busy studying her, every expression, every gesture, wondering how she could stand there acting so innocent when she had been lying to me for months. Part of me wanted to grab her phone right in front of her, throw it on the bed, and demand answers. Part of me wanted to scream, to unleash the storm building inside me. But another part of me, the colder, more calculating part, told me to wait, to gather more, to plan this out. So I bit my tongue. I nodded at her stories, gave small smiles, even laughed at the right moments. It felt like I was wearing a mask, pretending to be the boyfriend I had been just hours before, even though everything had changed. The longer I stayed quiet, the harder it got. Every glance at her made my chest ache. I thought of the messages, of the way she called those other guys babe, of how she told one of them I was just a placeholder. And here she was, standing in my living room like nothing had happened, like she wasn't tearing me apart from the inside. I excused myself, saying I was going to grab some water. Really, I just needed space. I walked into the kitchen, leaned on the counter, and tried to steady my breathing. My reflection in the dark window looked back at me, eyes hollow, face pale. What the hell am I supposed to do? I whispered to myself. Do I confront her now? Do I wait? Do I kick her out of my life immediately? Or do I need proof, screenshots, something to show my friends, my family, even myself, so I would never doubt what I'd seen? I took a deep breath, grabbed a glass of water, and returned to the living room, forcing a smile on my face. She glanced up and grinned at me like nothing was wrong. That grin, it was almost unbearable. "Want to watch a movie?" she asked, casually scrolling through Netflix on the TV. I nodded slowly. Sure. But inside, my mind was racing. I wasn't watching the TV. I was watching her, studying her, memorizing the way she acted so normal while my whole world was crumbling. And in that moment, one thing became clear. This wasn't going to be simple. If I wanted the truth, if I wanted to see how deep this betrayal went, I'd have to play along a little longer. So I smiled back, sat down next to her, and let her rest her head on my shoulder. My chest tightened, my fists clenched, but I didn't move. I just stared at the screen, pretending, while deep down I was planning my next move. The mask was on. The game had begun. The next few days felt like living in some twisted nightmare where I had to pretend everything was fine. Every time she texted me something sweet, every time she kissed me goodbye, it felt fake. I couldn't stop thinking about those messages, about all the other guys. I told myself I needed proof. If I confronted her without anything concrete, she would twist it. She could say I misread the texts or that they were old or that I was being paranoid. I wasn't going to let her gaslight me. I needed undeniable evidence. So I became someone I never thought I'd be. Suspicious, calculating, even sneaky. Whenever she left her phone unattended, I checked it. Not for long, just quick peeks, but long enough to confirm what I already knew. The conversations with those guys weren't slowing down. If anything, they were getting more intense. One of them even sent her a picture late at night while she was lying next to me. She smiled at her phone, locked it quickly, and turned her back to me in bed. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, my chest on fire. She thought I was asleep, but I wasn't. Every vibration of her phone made me wonder who it was this time. Which one? It wasn't just texts. There were call logs too. Late-night calls that lasted for hours. Calls she told me were just her best friend. Or a coworker who needed advice. The lies seemed endless once I started paying attention. I started noticing patterns. She'd get dressed up for work, even when it didn't make sense. She'd disappear for a couple of hours claiming she was running errands. Sometimes she'd be oddly protective of her phone, keeping it face down on the table, always within arm's reach. It all seemed so obvious now, but I had been blind before. Maybe because I didn't want to believe it. One night, after she fell asleep, I carefully reached for her phone. My hands were trembling as I unlocked it. I knew I was crossing a line, but I had already seen too much to stop now. The first thing I did was screenshot everything, the texts, the photos, the call history. I sent it all to my email. I wanted it saved, locked away, so that when the time came, I could put it in front of her and watch her excuses crumble. But what I wasn't prepared for was finding out there were more guys than I thought. Not just 4. Not even 5. There were at least 7. Some names I didn't recognize, others I did. People I had met before. Guys she had introduced as just friends. One of them had even been in my house. Sat on my couch. Shaken my hand. My stomach turned when I realized just how deep this betrayal went. It wasn't just physical. It wasn't just emotional. It was everything. She was living multiple lives, and I was just one of the pawns. The anger inside me was building like a volcano ready to erupt. But I forced myself to stay calm. If I exploded too early, she'd find a way to spin it. I wanted her cornered. I wanted her to feel the weight of her lies all at once. So I started pulling away slowly. I stopped being as affectionate. I stopped opening up. When she asked me what was wrong, I told her I was just stressed from work. She seemed to believe it, at least for now. But every time I looked at her, every time I heard her laugh, I saw a stranger. A stranger who was using me, lying to me, and betraying me in ways I hadn't thought possible. I confided in one of my closest friends. I showed him some of the screenshots, and the look on his face said it all. He told me I had to end it, that I couldn't stay with someone who treated me like this. But I wasn't ready yet. Not until I saw her crack. Not until I confronted her with the truth she thought I'd never discover. So I waited. I watched. I collected more. Every fake smile. Every, "I love you." Every excuse she gave. It all added fuel to the fire building inside me. And finally, one night, as she was heading out with yet another flimsy excuse, I knew the time had come. I couldn't live like this anymore. I couldn't keep pretending. The mask was slipping. And soon, there would be nowhere left for her to hide. That night, when she told me she was going out to meet a friend from work, something in me snapped. I had heard that excuse too many times, and now I knew exactly what it meant. I looked at her as she stood by the door, fixing her hair, spraying on perfume. My chest burned with anger, but my voice came out cold. "Who are you really going to see?" She froze, hand still on the doorknob. For a moment, her smile flickered, but then it came back. "What do you mean? I told you it's just a coworker." We're grabbing a quick drink. I shook my head slowly. Don't lie to me. Not tonight. Her eyes narrowed. Why are you acting like this? Did something happen? I stood up, walked to the kitchen counter, and picked up my phone. I had all the screenshots ready, saved, and waiting. I opened the first one and held it out to her. Her face went pale. It was the message that said, "Don't worry, he has no clue. I'm just with him until I figure things out. You're the one I really want." She stared at it, frozen, her mouth opening but no words coming out. I kept going, swiping through message after message, showing her the late-night conversations, the selfies, the calls. Each one was a dagger, and I made sure she saw every single one. Finally, I looked her straight in the eye. How many? How many guys were there? Silence. Her lips trembled. It's not what it looks like. Don't you dare say that. My voice cracked, years of trust and love shattering in an instant. Do you think I'm blind? Do you think I'm stupid? I've seen everything. Every word. Every picture. Every time you called me yours. While you were sneaking around behind my back. Tears welled up in her eyes, but I couldn't tell if they were real or just another performance. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. Didn't mean for it to happen? I laughed bitterly. This wasn't one mistake. This wasn't one guy. This was for 5, 7, God knows how many. That doesn't just happen. You chose this. Over and over again, you chose this. Her voice cracked. I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted. Don't you dare. I cut her off. Don't you dare try to make this sound like some kind of accident. You knew exactly what you were doing. You lied to my face. You used me. And for what? For some cheap thrill with guys you'll forget about in a year. She broke down crying, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no pity. Just emptiness. I grabbed her bag from the couch and tossed it toward her. Get out. She stared at me through her tears, like she couldn't believe I was serious. Wait, please, let's talk. Get out. My voice was like ice. For a moment, she just stood there, trembling. Then she picked up her bag, wiped her face, and walked to the door. Her hand lingered on the knob, like she wanted to say something else, but I didn't give her the chance. Goodbye, I said flatly, and just like that, she was gone. The silence that followed was deafening. I sank onto the couch, my head in my hands, and for the first time in years, I cried. Not because I wanted her back, not because I still loved her, but because I realized how blind I had been, how much of myself I had given to someone who didn't deserve an ounce of it. In the days that followed, I leaned on my friends. They reminded me that none of this was my fault, that I had given her love, trust, loyalty, and she had thrown it all away. It wasn't easy. The nights were the hardest, lying in bed alone, haunted by memories of someone who never really existed. But slowly, the pain turned into clarity. I realized I deserved better. I realized the relationship I thought was perfect was nothing but smoke and mirrors. And though it hurt like hell, it also freed me. I don't know what she's doing now. Honestly, I don't care. What I do know is that I'll never let myself be blinded like that again. I'll never ignore the red flags. And someday, when I meet someone who actually deserves my trust, I'll look back on this moment and thank myself for walking away. Because sometimes the hardest goodbyes are the ones that save you. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel and keeps more stories coming your way. Take care, and I hope you have an amazing day.